All right, it's Tuesday, and that means it's time for Tuesday tier rankings, where we look at every quarterback that started this week in the NFL or that played the majority of the game in the NFL this week, and we put them into one of these 5 tiers: great, good, fine, poor, or trash. And this is solely based on their week 4 performance. Week 4 and week 4 alone. Okay? So, we're going by division, and we're starting with Geno Smith. The Seahawks lost a barn burner on Monday night. It's their first loss, but Geno Smith, I thought, was great. He has been great this entire year. The Lions were absolutely their toughest opponent so far, but on the road on Monday night, Geno Smith threw for like 400 yards. And he is just in the middle of a total career resurgence there in Seattle. I thought he was tremendous. That's Matt Stafford, who I would say, you know what? I'm going to give Stafford some credit and put him into the fine category because he was going against a really good Bears defense in those sloppy conditions. The Rams have so many injuries and key guys out. No, he was not great. He had his issues, but I am going to put him into the fine category because he was in a bad situation. He hung in there as best he could. That's my take on it. Brock Purdy with the San Francisco 49ers in a win over the Patriots. I thought Purdy was good. Obviously, the defense made some big plays, had a pick 6 at one point in this game. The Patriots, in my opinion, are a very inferior opponent for the 49ers. And this was a get-right game. This was a get-right game for the 49ers. They came into this 1-2. Things hadn't really started the way they thought, but this was a get-right game for them, and I thought Brock Purdy was good. Kyler Murray, he was so good back in week 2, but he was completely outshined and outplayed by his opponent this week. I know fans there in Arizona are holding out hope that he's, going to return to that week 2 form. I thought Kyler was just poor this week. I mean, you look at the final score. They lost 42-14. I thought for what they needed, they needed that week 2 version of Kyler that you got against the Rams a couple of weeks ago. And, he's just really regressed these 2 weeks since he had that great performance. And I know Washington's really good, but I thought this was a poor performance from Kyler. Bo Nix. So this is a tricky one because on paper, Bo Nix was trash because he threw for like 65 yards. He did have a touchdown pass. He didn't turn the ball over. And they won. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know. He threw a touchdown and they won a very low-scoring, sloppy game. I'm going to put him into fine. I'm going to put Bo Nix into the fine category because, look, you have to judge what they needed from him. And what they needed, you know what? He didn't turn the ball over, did he? I don't think he did. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't do anything to lose the game. And as a Tennessee Titans fan, I have watched my team's quarterback do that many times this year. So he didn't do anything to lose the game in these sloppy, wet conditions there that they were playing in. So I thought Bo Nix was fine. When you consider what they needed from him, I thought he was fine. His team won. They're on a 2-game win streak. Justin Herbert, man, the Chargers just can't ever figure out how to beat the Chiefs, can they? Really, nobody can. We're all struggling to find out how to beat the Chiefs. I thought Herbert was fine. I just think Justin Herbert has yet this season, and I know he's been dealing with injuries, he has yet to look like that guy that we've seen in the past. I mean, and I think some of it is because They don't have the weapons on the outside there that they once had, with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They don't have those guys anymore. They're really relying on their defense and their run game with Dobbins. So he hasn't really had many opportunities yet. And then, of course, you mix in the injuries. But I still think that dude that we've seen in the past is somewhere in there. Patrick Mahomes, you know what? I'm putting him into the fine category too. I mean, by Mahomes' standards, this was not like a clinic by any means. He threw the interception and then his best receiver tore his ACL or something on that play. They won. They are 4-0, and I still think they're the team to beat because we know that, the Chiefs don't look as good as other teams, but I mean, they're 4-0. Like, they're 4-0. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as Andy Reid's the coach and as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, they're the team to beat. He was fine this week. This was probably about as bad as it gets for Patrick Mahomes, and it was still fine. Gardner Minshew, another tough one, similar to Bo Nix. His team won. He threw for like 130 yards. I mean, if you look at his stats, you would think trash. But dang it, I'm going to put him into fine. We're going to be a whole lot of fine this week because, again, he didn't do anything to lose it. He didn't throw any crazy interceptions or anything like that. He didn't put his team in harm's way. So, and they won. So he didn't do anything horrible, so he was fine. And again, as a Tennessee Titans fan, I don't take for granted when your quarterback can just avoid making any huge mistakes that lose you the game. Sometimes you win that way. So that's why I put Gardner Minshew in the fine category. Dak Prescott on Thursday night last week. I mean, the Cowboys as a whole won the game and they looked bad doing it. But I still don't think Dak's the problem, and I thought Dak was good. There are issues with that team, but I just still don't think Dak's one of them. I think most any team would be glad to have Dak Prescott as their quarterback. So I thought Dak was good. Daniel Jones, on the other hand, who I thought was playing better in week 2 and week 3, I think Daniel Jones was fine. Another one in the fine category. A lot of people like to pick on Daniel Jones. I question some of the calls made by Brian Daboll. I've been stunned so far at just some of the things he does as a coach. A lot of people want to just say Daniel Jones sucks and that's why the Giants suck. It's not a great roster. And Daniel Jones is not great, but he's not like just the bottom of the barrel. He's probably a backup quarterback in this league. Is probably where he should be. But I thought in the grand scheme of things, he was fine. Jalen Hurts. I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to put Jalen Hurts in the poor category because they took a whooping. But I also think they have got so many more issues on that Eagles team than Jalen Hurts. That seems like a locker room in turmoil. Obviously, and I'm going to give Jalen credit to no A.J. Brown, no Devontae Smith. That's top 2 wide receivers. Your 2 favorite targets are out against a good Tampa Bay team. But nothing looked good for the Eagles on Sunday. Nothing. They looked uninspired. They looked bored. Nick Sirianni, in my opinion, is officially on the hot seat. So we'll see how things continue to go for them. But overall, I thought Jalen Hurts was pretty poor. Jayden Daniels. I mean, crap. He's just great. Jayden Daniels is great. This kid, this is historical. This run that he is on in the first month of the season, it's all you can do just to see the guy throw an incomplete pass. He doesn't even throw incompletions. He's accurate. He takes care of the ball. Effective with his legs, yes, but effective with his arm, that's where I underestimated him. I knew he could be effective with his legs. He's just even a much better passer than I expected him to be. The Commanders are on top of the world right now. Jacoby Brissett. I thought Brissett was poor. I mean, the ceiling for the Patriots with Jacoby Brissett as quarterback is just so low. I don't know where they stand with Drake May, how long they want to drag that out, but it feels inevitable that at some point they're going to go to him. And I like Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett is a quality backup quarterback, but I mean, that team with that roster, with a first-time head coach, they need a guy that can lift them up. I just don't think Brissett is that guy. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, again, in the sloppy conditions, they lost. I thought Rodgers was fine. I'm going to put Rodgers into the fine category. I think, under sunny conditions, the Jets probably win this game. But hey, the Broncos had to play in the same slop that the Jets did. Rodgers got sacked a few times. And it's just one of those weird things. He threw for over 200 yards. Bo Nix threw for like 65, and the Broncos won. I mean, kudos to the Broncos defense. They played well, and they held the Jets to field goals and not touchdowns. And that's a surprising result from Week 4, is that the Jets lost to the Broncos. Josh Allen. Everybody is sharing the Josh Allen pass from Sunday night that was so good, rolling to his right, throwing downfield. I'll put Allen into the fine category too. That tier is really filling up. I mean, Josh Allen, this was just one of those situations. It was just all Ravens. It was just all Ravens. You could tell from the word go when the King took that 87-yard run. You just knew this is going to be all Ravens all the way. Bills got behind, and the Ravens were just in monster mode for this game. And this was, again, like I said about Mahomes, this is probably about as bad of a Josh Allen performance as you will see. And it was still fine. He did have that one pass that was amazing. Snoop Huntley for the Dolphins playing against my Titans. God bless him. It was just trash. And I think that you have to give some grace because he's been on the team 2 weeks. But yeah, just not good. Again, I think the Titans overall have a pretty good defense. A tough spot for him to be in. He missed some open looks for Tyreek Hill that could have kept them in the game for sure. But overall, Snoop Huntley, God bless him. Maybe if he were on the team a little longer and could get his bearings about him, it wouldn't be this way. But Snoop Huntley's in the trash. Joe Burrow. Bengals got their first win. It's between those top 2 tiers. Because I at least think Joe Burrow was good, but a part of me thinks he was great. I mean, yeah, I'll put Burrow into great. I thought Burrow was great this week. I mean, I think this looked like Joe Burrow. I think, and I know people will say it's Carolina, but Carolina's been better. And I think that Burrow, he had the play to Jamar Chase over the middle where Chase took it to the house. That's starting to look like the Bengals from a few years ago. And, I think Burrow was great. Their backs were against the wall, and he's their guy. They needed him to come out and ensure that they got a win here, and he did. So, I thought Burrow was great this week. Lamar, I'm going to say Lamar was fine just because, obviously they won big, but this was the Derrick Henry show. Lamar did what he had to do, but he didn't have to do as much because Derrick Henry was just running wild. And they've got a real, three-headed monster with Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Justice Hill in the run game. I still think the Ravens might try to trade for like a Devontae Adams or something because they need a weapon on the outside. But I thought Lamar was fine. And the reason he wasn't better is because he didn't have to be, because Derrick Henry was doing Derrick Henry things. Deshaun Watson. I hate to put so many guys here. I thought Watson was fine too. Whole lot of fine in week 4. I thought Deshaun Watson was fine. He's playing behind a bad offensive line. And he got robbed of a touchdown by the referees. I mean, just a phantom holding call on the offensive line on a big play to, I believe it was Cooper. I mean, I still can't believe that call was made. But I thought Deshaun Watson was fine. Justin Fields, some people disagree. I thought Justin Fields was good. You know, that's a terrible picture that I've got of him there. You can barely even see him. I think even though they lost, I thought Justin Fields, like before, with how he looked the first couple of weeks, it was like, he's going to have to be better than that, you know, because it just looked like something that wasn't sustainable. But in this game and the last one, like, he looked like their guy. I don't think it's even a question now. I don't think they're giving the job back to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson never even had the job to start with. Well, he kind of did, because they announced him as starter. I think they're absolutely going to stick with Justin Fields. They might try to trade Russell Wilson. I thought Justin Fields was good. He's looking more comfortable. He's looking more confident. I know they lost, but I think Justin Fields is good. If you heard something that sounded like a fart, my finger went across this leather. If it was a fart, I'd tell you. Caleb Williams. First win at home? No, they beat the Titans week 1. Caleb Williams was fine. You know, he's still, I mean, you talk about playing behind a bad offensive line. He's playing behind a bad offensive line. But he's still missing some guys, you know, here and there, but he's getting there. You can tell he's getting there. This is a good win for them, by the way, over the Rams. This is a good win. Jared Goff, I got to put Jared Goff into great because he didn't even throw an incomplete pass. He was perfect. Absolutely perfect. The big play to Jameson Williams was electric. This is the Derek. Did I say Derek? Jared Goff. Jared Goff, not Derek Carr. Jared Goff. This is the guy that Detroit loves. This, I mean, you know, prime time, lights are on, and he delivers. So I thought Jared Goff was great. Jordan Love, you know what? I thought Jordan Love was good, and I know you look at his stat line, and he threw 3 interceptions. If this was based on the first half, he was trash. But I'm going to give grace because he's returning from an injury. I think there was some rust. I think there was some, you know, he had to get his bearings. I mean, you know, coming back from an injury like that against a good defense like Minnesota. But he showed a lot of grit in the second half to get the Packers back into this game. And so I think the Packers are going to be fine. I just think Jordan Love was dealing with some rust, maybe some nerves coming back against a good defense and a team that's good. But I think in the second half, he showed more of that Jordan Love that people remember from the playoffs last year and things like that. So if I'm a Green Bay fan, I'm not too alarmed by the loss. I know it hurts because it's Minnesota. They're at the top of your division. Speaking of Minnesota, Sam Darnold, I thought he was good again. I mean, Sam Darnold, if it was just based on the first half, I would say Sam Darnold was great. But the second half, he kind of, you know, the Green Bay climbed back in, and Minnesota was struggling in that second half to, I think they only scored 3 points in the second half. Now, I know in the NFL you're trying to hold a lead, you know, but still, as the Packers were coming back, the Vikings needed to get something going, and they couldn't. That's just 2 good teams, I think, playing each other. But I thought Sam Darnold was good, and he continues to be good. Baker Mayfield, I thought Baker was good. You know, coming back from last week where they took one on the chin against the Broncos. I mean, he came back out like a house of fire this week, and that whole team was looking more like they did the first 2 weeks. And Baker has been continually good. I mean, he has just found a home in Tampa Bay, and it's a fun story. Derek Carr. I'm going to be generous and put Derek Carr into the fine category. I'm going to be generous and put Derek Carr into the fine category because they were right there. I mean, this was a close game. He took them down there. They scored the touchdown to take the lead. You know, so, I mean, he definitely wasn't bad. But, you know, those first 2 weeks, it was like, my goodness, Derek Carr. He's kind of, he's leveled out some. Kirk Cousins. You know, it's funny. Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr played against each other, and they had very similar stat lines. But at the end of the day, Kirk Cousins, and I don't want you to think I just go by stat lines, but I do look at the stat lines before I do this. Cousins and Carr are very similar. The difference is Cousins won and Carr didn't. So is that enough to lift Cousins up to good? I'm going to keep him in fine because the big play that got him down there for the field goal was a defensive pass interference. So it's not like that week 2 game against the Eagles where he just methodically took him down there. I mean, he did what he had to do, threw a ball up there that drew a pass interference. But identical stat lines, yeah, we'll put them both beside each other. Andy Dalton. I thought Andy Dalton, man. You know what? I'm going to put Kirk Cousins up into good. I changed my mind. I'm going to put Cousins and Dalton both into good. I know the Panthers lost, but for Andy Dalton, I mean, he went toe-to-toe with the Bengals. A couple of weeks ago, you would have thought Bengals versus Panthers would be 57-0 Bengals. But Andy Dalton went in there and he kind of got into a shootout. And they got down at one point and they came storming back. They ended up losing by 10. But I thought Andy Dalton played good. And I'm going to move Cousins up to good too, just because, you know what, that defensive pass interference, that's something that quarterbacks, that is technically a quarterback making that play. That's a part of the repertoire now, is that, you know, you throw it up, you try to draw a pass interference, and any way you slice it, Cousins let him down there for another win. So I'll put Cousins into good. I'll put Dalton into good. We're in the AFC South I went with Joe Flacco. I know Anthony Richardson started the game, but Flacco played a lot more in this game than Richardson after he got hurt. And for what they needed, I thought that Flacco was good. I thought Flacco was good. They won. I think they're a better team with Flacco. Threw a couple touchdowns, and there were times where it felt like the Steelers were storming back to win, and then Flacco took them down there. I mean, Flacco's got experience playing against the Steelers because he was in Baltimore so long, but and then Cleveland. So, but I thought Flacco was good. I'm gonna play fair. C.J. Stroud, you want to know what? I'm gonna put Stroud into great. I thought C.J. Stroud was great. His connection with Nico Collins, I mean, and then to go down and score that game-winning touchdown against a division rival in a big division game, C.J. Stroud just, you know, he's one of those guys that can just do it. You know, when it's 2.5 minutes to go with one timeout, you're down by 4, down by 3. C.J. Stroud, I feel like, is now a guy that if you're on the other team, you dread seeing him. Trevor Lawrence, I thought Trevor was poor. I mean, you can go back and look. Trevor just missing open guys. He had Brian Thomas wide open. The Jaguars had every opportunity to take this game, and Trevor and the offense just couldn't do it. You know? And in Jacksonville, they're starting to get a little uneasy because they paid this man a lot of money, and it ain't working right now. And so last week, Trevor was trash. This week, he upgrades to poor. And then Mason Rudolph. I used Mason Rudolph for the Titans because he played majority of the game. Will Levis only played 2 possessions, got hurt. Here comes Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. For the same reason that I put Bo Nix and Gardner Minshew there, I guess Mason Rudolph, whoa, not good. Fine. Mason Rudolph was fine because, you know, the Titans were in a situation where, similar to Bo Nix, similar to Gardner Minshew, just don't do anything stupid and we'll win. Because the Dolphins are in a tough spot right now. Just don't do anything stupid and we'll win. It's an easy job, but it's a job that Mason Rudolph was able to do, and it's a job that I don't take for granted because Will Levis repeatedly does stupid stuff that hurts the team. Mason Rudolph threw for 85 yards, but he took care of the ball. He didn't put the team in danger, and the Titans got their first win. So, I feel like this week there are going to be some people that really don't quite agree. But in the great category, it's Geno Smith, Jayden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and CJ Stroud. In the good category, how about Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Justin Fields, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, Andy Dalton, and Joe Flacco. In the fine category, Matt Stafford, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Caleb Williams, Derek Carr, and Mason Rudolph. In the poor category, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Jacoby Brissett, and Trevor Lawrence. And in the trash, it is Snoop Huntley. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Hit me up in the comments.